Hey everybody, welcome back. HSC Podcast 80. Got Big Box Steve on the mic, got Big Smooth and Fresh Wes in the command center. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Appreciate all the views and all the listens on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor. Thanks for listening. We're going to get into college football, NFL recap, give our picks, talk a little bit about fantasy. Uh, but just to preface, before we get started and all that, man, we're having a rough time here getting started in the NFL season. But I did notice, and so Derek, you shared something about Colin Coward's picks, and I was looking at some of the ESPN picks and some of the Bleacher Report picks. Everybody's having a tough time this season. So if you're listening, just because we're only doing 9-7, 10-6s, Derek, yeah, 10-12-4, which is pretty good. Everybody's having a rough time. So our picks are still up there. We're still doing well. So before we jump into NFL, though, talk about our picks, we got to talk college football, right? Let's just start. Let's start with the Oregon Colorado game. What do you guys think?
It was dumb of me to think that after Colorado got smoked, that we might stop hearing about them for a while. But no, no, no. Oh, the Oregon, blah, blah, blah. They're all, fake little things and doing a little the pregame thing. And it's like, no, Colorado, you're not that good.
Right.
You could get there in a few years, but you're talking like you're a top five team, but you play like your top 40 team, like in the 20 to 40 range. And they got smoked, and they're going to get smoked again this week, too. I got them. They could probably go 500, but
Yeah, I think so obviously without Travis Hunter, that hurts him a lot.
that wouldn't have
But
mattered, though.
well, and yeah, I think the problem was when you look at the game, there was a lot of swing plays in the game, penalties, the fake punt, a couple really bad calls by Colorado on like first down situations or trying to get the first down. So play calling was an issue. Penalties was definitely an issue. Are they as bad as what they lost to Oregon? I don't know about that, but you're not beating Oregon,
Well, they don't have the trenches, and that's what
right?
got shown. Like Sanders Sador couldn't do nothing. He was getting hit nonstop.
Well, because they came after every third, dude. It was like the the worst thing you ever seen. Every single third down, you knew they were blitzing you. So why are you putting him in a 7-step drop? Why are you putting him back? Like, get the ball out of his hands. And if you don't make the play, if your wide receivers don't make the play, then fine. But don't let him sit back there and just get hammered all game. Like, get the ball out of his hands.
Are you saying more that Dion's a great recruiter, not a good game managing coach?
Well, I don't because he's not the offense coordinator, right? Like
Yeah, but he could tell him stop
Bro,
doing that.
yeah, right.
the
Like,
thing, the thing, the thing was, if you watch the beginning, the first two or three drives of the TCU game, that's exactly what they were doing with Sanders. He was getting the ball in his hands so fast.
right.
He was doing a lot of those wide receiver screens, and then they ran the fast pace, the ultra fast break offense. And TCU couldn't substitute, and they really caught them off guard. Exactly right. It seemed like they just dropped him straight back,
Mhm.
and he's sitting back there, and it's just like Oregon's coming. Those guys are flying at him at the ball, and there wasn't anything he could do. So it was
They were
terrible.
bringing more rushers than they had blockers most of the time.
Yeah,
And if you're rushing six and you're blocking five, and then you're taking a 5 to 7 step drop, what's going to happen? Like you're going to get sacked, or he's going to try to escape and then ultimately get sacked for a bigger loss. Um, the play calling for me was horrible, but Colorado killed themselves with penalties, number one. And then, just to be honest, dude, Lanning, he wanted to win the game. He took chances that he normally wouldn't take, and they worked out. Fake punt, going for it on fourth downs.
But you're trying to make it seem like this was a close game. This game was never close, ever.
Well,
No, it wasn't.
It was like 430 yards in the third quarter. Oregon had 430
Right.
yards, and Colorado had 34.
Yeah.
I mean, there was just a complete beatdown.
You know how football is, though. Like, football's a momentum game. And
Yeah.
Oregon jumped out, grabbed the momentum early. Colorado had a couple chances where they could have got stops, and they got penalties that reversed those stops. And then it turned into this snowball effect where once they got up like 21, it's over, right? It's done. Game's over at that point. So yeah, Colorado didn't stand a chance after the halfway through the first quarter.
Back up. Was Colorado making excuses? I haven't heard any noise.
Man, you should see their
the fans, not the players and the coaches. It's the fans.
Yeah. Or their media, like the Denver Gazette or the articles that they're putting out. And don't get me wrong, Oregon's a way better team than Colorado, way better team. But there were times in the game where Colorado had chances to make stops. They had chances to play different than they did, and it just didn't work out, right? Or they got a penalty, or they called the wrong plays, and they did the wrong things. Would they have won the game in the end? Probably not. Probably not. But would they have lost that bad? I don't know about that. It was a beatdown. Like, it was bad. And now they go play USC.
Well, and I think what it is it's all these people that are not really fans of college football that are like Dion fan, and they're coming out and they're being so ignorant because, I mean, dude, it was a 21-point spread.
Yeah.
This isn't something that should be like, oh my gosh, Vegas knew.
Yeah.
It's just the hype. Now I get it. It is a cool story. They have won more games than last year. They are, and maybe in a few years they'll be in the Big 12, which there's going to be no teams in the Big 12.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And them in Utah, right?
You know what's crazy though is they're getting a lot of the big time recruits right now,
Right.
like saying they want to go to Colorado.
Well, yeah, because who wouldn't want to play for Deion Sanders?
Right. And so that might mean it kind of I mean, you saw Swamp Kings, right? It kind of reminds me of that hype around them.
Mm-hmm.
And then now all the blue chips, like those big players start going there next year. So not this year. They're not going to do anything this year. But if they get, 7 or 8 really top freshmen coming in, and then another year they get another 10, like Florida did.
Well, I mean, though, but the thing is, the difference was Urban Meyer was an offensive genius.
Yeah.
And we need to see great coaching too. You can get all the best 5-star recruits, but if you're like saying doing 7-step drops when you know they're going to be rushing.
Right. I thought the TCU game, that was great coaching, offensive coaching. And I didn't see any of that against Oregon. It was a completely different game. It was a ridiculous game plan.
You're right. It was a huge difference in the play calling in the TCU game versus the Oregon. Huge difference. Like, you might have thought that 2 different people were calling that game.
Yeah.
The way the play calling went.
And Derek has a point here about them maybe going just 500. I mean, if you could realistically look, I mean, this is just saying they got to go to Arizona State. That's not going to be an easy game because Arizona State played well against USC. They got to go to Arizona. I'm assuming they win that game, but if they lost that game, they don't even go 500. They go 5-7 as far as I'm concerned.
Then the Pac-12 right now is tough.
It is. In the last game of the year, they're at Utah and at Washington State the last 2 games. They beat Arizona as far as I'm concerned. They got Oregon at home at least. But
Oregon State.
I
Oregon
got
State,
him. I got him losing to at UCLA.
yeah.
You know, it's just I don't. You know, could they go? Could they have a 7-5 record? Maybe, but still, they. I mean, everyone's talking about them like, oh yeah, they're going to go to playoff. Like,
Yeah, I mean
crap, dude.
that's
That's just
hype,
so
dude.
much noise.
Yeah, that's hype. But even if you come in, let's say 7-5, that's a great turnaround,
That's
right,
a
from
good
a
season.
team. And so there's nothing wrong with that. And if they start bringing in these big time recruits, which it sounds like they're going to, now next year, now you have a 10-win team, right? And then the year after that, maybe you compete for a national championship,
The year after that, he's going to a different school, and he's going to
right?
bring all those guys with him. He's going to
Yeah.
like Florida.
Yeah, he's gonna change schools, but
That's what's
uh,
going on here.
He's going to the Raiders next year. What are you talking about?
What? Let's not
oh,
even.
dude, Dion
Yeah.
going to the NFL, dude. Come
That would
on,
be that. I never thought about
let's
that.
go, let's go.
Then they
Oh
draft
man,
his son to play quarterback.
right. So whoever drafts Shadir, like that's where Dion's gonna go coach. Oh man. So, but outside of that game, there was still a lot of great college football last week. Let's just start with the Ohio State Notre Dame game because I don't know if you guys watched that. I watched pretty much all of it.
And
And first of all, I am not an Ohio State fan. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr., he's great, right? But their quarterback, McCord, dude, he's not good.
no,
Uh,
he
their
lacked
defense
confidence.
did look solid. And I'm not a fan of Notre Dame either, but they dominated that game. And yeah, they lost, but Ohio State did not look like Ohio State.
Hey, you know
Uh,
what? Notre Dame might have won the game if on the last two plays they had 11 guys on the field. Did you see that?
yeah,
They only
that's
had 10 guys on the
right.
field for the last. I mean, I can't even believe that.
Yeah, how do you do that, right?
And they got very close to stopping them on that last play. They were close. Like he
Oh
barely got that ball
They were
there.
just a man away.
They were a
no,
man.
man. I don't know if you guys watch the review of the final touchdown?
Yeah,
And did you that dude, his knee was going down, and then somehow he like changes his leg to like go straight instead of his knee go straight down when he was driving towards the end zone. It looks like his knee's gonna touch, and then he straightens his leg out and then drives forward. I was like, that's crazy.
yeah.
Because he should have been down at the one,
It was.
but somehow like he straightened his knee out and crosses the line. That was insane. Um, but Ohio State for me, like, how do you now go compete against Michigan
It's gonna
Or
be.
Penn State.
or Penn State, who looks really good?
You got to go to Penn State too. Or no, wait a minute. No, that's the other way around. Um, Still, it doesn't matter where they. But Penn State's going to be tough.
Right?
Defensively, Penn State's stout. They're going to get after McCord. McCord didn't even have a touchdown pass. I mean,
Oh, I
you
mean,
got
he does
Marvin
not look
Harrison
good, dude.
Jr. on your team, and you don't have a touchdown pass to him.
He doesn't look good to me.
Well, they got Ubaka too, right? And don't they have
Right?
like the
Yeah. Oh,
top
yeah.
two?
Block had 96 yards, but no
Right.
touch.
Well, it's like the top two wide receivers of the nation are both
Yeah.
on that team.
Yeah,
Yeah. You don't get better wide receivers than that. Offensive line is obviously lost a little bit from the draft, but they're still good.
yeah. I mean,
So that was a tough game. The Washington State Oregon State game was nuts.
yeah,
Cam Ward is that that's his name? Cam Ward, right?
yeah. Ward
Dude, that guy looked amazing.
did.
Throwing dots, had like 300 yards in the first half. Him and Caleb Williams are the only quarterbacks with the same that touchdown to interception ratio with like over 10 touchdowns, no interceptions at that point.
Yeah,
So Washington State looked really good. Oregon State looked horrible.
they
I
looked
mean,
horrible. They started getting going, and
they
then
yeah, they got going the second half, but Martinez, like you got to run the ball, right?
so listen to this. Fenwick for Oregon State had 101 yards and 3 touchdowns. He
Yeah,
only ran the ball 11 times.
yeah,
I'm giving that guy 20 carries if he's getting that much production, and he might win that game. They lost by three,
yeah. But dude, Martinez is averaging 9 yards a rush before that.
Yeah, I mean they both were. They should have just been running the ball more. I mean
And
Mhm.
and
DJ
Washington
is
State,
50%.
dude, Washington State lost their best athlete slash wide receiver in the first quarter.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
but still, that's a great
DJU
game.
had 60 yards rushing too.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
you gotta have him run to the ball, but you gotta stick to the running game. Their defense got lit up because they were the number one defense, right, in the Pac-12.
Right. Well, it's what it, started out bad, so they couldn't slow down the pace
Right.
because that's what they are. They're a team that, run the ball, play great defense. But when you're getting behind, you can't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So that was a great game.
Even playing bad and up in Pullman, they only lost by 3.
Right, right. Well, they scored right at the end,
you're
onside
gonna
kick. So I
if
mean, you
you're
made it
gonna
a little closer than it
lose
was.
early. That's the thing. I don't see that as a completely damaging loss unless there's a tiebreaker. But still, I think everybody can take a loss in the Pac-12. And
Right.
then it comes down to tiebreakers. And the weirdest tiebreaker, especially in the North, it does favor Oregon State because they haven't been to the Rose Bowl. There's a longer drought than anybody else. So I mean,
Oh yeah.
and so
Well,
for them, I don't care. For them, going to the Rose Bowl is big for them at this point. So taking a loss, they went out. It's not the end of the world, but they got to play Utah Friday, and that
yeah.
is going to be that's going to be a tough game. I mean, Utah held UCLA to 7 points. I mean, that's just their defense in college football. I mean, they hold Florida to 3. They hold UCLA. What is this like the NFL in the 1980s? Like, what kind of
But
defense do they have?
Oregon State has Utah at home,
Yeah,
so that's a big advantage there. Um, let's so a lot of their college football games we talk about. Let's talk about next week college football. So Oregon State, Utah, big game, right? And then Kansas, Texas.
yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
That's a real interesting game for Kansas, right? Because you're 4-0. Your offense looks pretty good.
Have you seen them
So
play?
yeah, dude,
Their coach, their coach runs that whole let's put the
dude,
3 linemen out wide, and he does that a lot. It's actually interesting.
it's wild. It's
Yeah,
wild, dude. And so, what if Kansas beats Texas here, goes 5-0?
they could. That's a
So
total
that's a
possibility.
game to watch. But then you got LSU, Ole Miss, right? Another good game. Notre Dame has to go now against
Duke.
now ranked
Duke.
17th Duke,
Duke's pretty good. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough game for them,
right?
especially if
Well, Drake
So
they're
or
gonna
no,
continue to not score points.
Riley Leonard.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting game.
there's some good games coming up here in college football. I think this week was great. It's fun to watch college football. Another good week coming up with some good top 25 games.
Well, and here's the other thing is, Texas is ranked 3 and Kansas is undefeated. But, they're always everyone's in the back of their mind. It's just Kansas, right? Next
Right.
week, Texas has Oklahoma. So they might be looking over
Yeah,
Kansas.
right. Looking ahead.
And Oklahoma is quietly doing really good. Their offense is clicking. They're kind of a sleeper in all this, you know. So Texas game would be huge.
What do you guys think about Alabama? What so Alabama, Ole Miss this week. Alabama did not look great.
I kind of feel like they're just, survive in advance until their quarterback starts really picking up the.
Yeah.
We talked about this at the beginning before the season started. We're like, what is Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State? How are they going to look with new quarterbacks?
Right.
And we've seen Alabama and Ohio State are a little iffy on their quarterbacks right now. Georgia hasn't played anyone yet, so we don't even know what they're up to yet.
It's like he almost is going to have to learn, you know, on the go. He's going to have to learn on the fly here. He's going to have to just get game reps. And yeah, I think he limits the mistake. I mean, he threw an interception, a terrible interception in the end zone early in that game. But their defense, I mean, they shut down Mississippi State. I mean, Mississippi pretty good. I mean, Dart was supposed to come in there and maybe possibly put up some points. And Alabama's defense is, as long as their defense plays like that, I think they could weather the storms.
Right.
Until like LSU, but I think they need to score points against LSU. I don't think their defense is going to be,
So
they're going to give up some points.
The last question I have here around college football, then, given what you've seen from the SEC so far, and looking at what the Pac-12 looks like, and a couple teams in the Big Ten, like, does this look like SEC dominated, or do these Pac-12 teams, or Michigan, Penn State, do they have some chance? Do they have a chance to win the national championship this year?
I need to see Georgia play a real team first before I decide on that. Right now, it's like, oh, Georgia's winning by 50 every game because they haven't played. I mean, gosh, I don't even have they even. I got to check their schedule here.
I mean, just so you think about, so when I think about it, couple teams I think about. Here's my thought process. I look at like a Michigan. Michigan's tough, right? I also look at Washington and USC. I think both of those teams are real tough. And then Penn State, if they continue to play like they're playing, that's another hard team, right? So now I think you got 4 or 5 teams out there that really look like they could give the SEC a run for their money.
Well, Texas, I mean,
Texas,
Texas already took care of Alabama, so
yeah. That I think there's the jury's still out on Carson Beck for Georgia. If you apply pressure, if he's in a big game, how is he going to perform? Is he going to be like Stetson Bennett? And I think whatever happens, I think Georgia's schedule is not that difficult until they get to the championship game. But even then, they could probably take care of Alabama if Alabama doesn't get better quarterback play. LSU might be a different story, but still, with Georgia's infrastructure for players, they got backups for backups. They should go undefeated, I think. The question is that first playoff game most likely will be against a Pac-12 team.
And now you've gone undefeated against mediocre teams.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one game again in the SEC championship.
Or it could be a team like Penn State. And then that's where you see Penn State's defense is good enough to apply pressure to a guy like Carson Beck. Can he perform? I don't know. We'll see how he does it. We'll see how they do it against Florida. That's even going to be.
That is their toughest game this year.
Yeah.
And sadly, even I know that's not a tough game.
Yeah, right. Even with the Gators hat on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so the one thing when I look at the Pac-12 right now, though, and no matter if 1 or 2 teams make it, either way, you're going to get a really good quarterback, right? because look at the quarterbacks right now in the Pac-12. Is that not the conference of the quarterbacks this year?
Is Ward like really the fourth best quarterback?
I don't even think so. After watching
I mean,
after
just threw
watching
for
him play,
400
right,
yards and 4
dude.
touchdowns.
After watching him play, I don't know.
Well, and then, Cam Rising hasn't even come back yet for Utah.
Right. Well, I mean, he's not the throwing
He's good.
guy.
He's a great college quarterback.
Right. He's a great college quarterback. But when you look at Penix and you look at Williams and you look at Ward, I mean, I'm not a huge Bo Nix fan, but obviously he puts up
Got to put him in the
numbers.
conversation.
You
I
got to
think
put him in the
Ward, I think Ward's
conversation.
ahead of Nix in some
Oh,
respects.
I absolutely. If I'm an NFL
Yeah.
scout, I'm taking Ward over Nix all day.
Well, did you see one of the things that Colorado truthers were putting out? How they're mad, like, oh, Bo Nix, he's so old. He played when Herbert was in college.
Yeah,
And that was
he's
over
not
4 years ago.
eligible that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he started more
As
games
a
than anybody ever. He's like, what's his 51st game, 51st
Well, he
game
started as a
starting?
freshman. I mean,
Right. But dude, you played 51 games in college. You got some
Yeah.
experience.
yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm just going to put this out there right now is I think this is if the SEC is going to be challenged, this is the year.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think the SEC might be challenged this year for a championship.
Well, I think the only team in the SEC is Georgia. And then it comes down to you have 3 teams in the Big Ten. You've got Texas, Oklahoma, and then 5 teams in the Pac-12.
Right.
Yeah. There's a lot of teams.
It's pretty open, I would say, this year. Not that the SEC still can't win it because it's still the SEC.
So
Right?
wait a minute. Miami's 4-0 here.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
send Miami.
Florida State.
Oh, Florida
Yeah,
State.
Florida
Yeah.
State,
Right.
Miami
Right.
going at it.
I just
Florida
want to say
State.
thank you, Pac-12 heads. Way to screw up this conference completely.
Right.
Their last year together, so many great teams, conference of
Right.
champions.
Can you
Now you're just,
imagine the
done.
Apple Cup? The last Apple Cup.
Oh man.
Talk about the tickets for that or the Civil War tickets. Oh, just
Yeah,
I
it's
kind
gonna
of
be off
feel like
the
they're going to
charts.
still play though. I bet you
Yeah,
they
they'll
do
play,
at
but
Notre
it's
Dame.
just not every
like,
year.
Yeah, you'd think they'd put them in their like early season schedule, things like that.
Well, I mean, Florida plays Florida State usually
Right.
every year, and like Georgia plays Clemson, right? Or South Carolina plays Clemson every year.
Cal will still play Stanford.
Yeah.
Georgia plays Georgia Tech every year.
Yeah, you'll still see those games for sure. But it's crazy that the Pac-12 at this point is really peaking.
Yeah, it is.
Have you seen a better?
It's ironic. Like
It's very ironic.
It's like now they're
this
gonna
is
dismantle.
this is probably the best Pac-12 you've seen in a
I've
long
ever seen.
time.
It might be a good thing that they're dismantling because think all those quarterbacks are being gone next year.
Right. Well, yeah, you never know what they'll look like after all that. So, college football, man, it's great right now. Love it. So let's get into NFL. Let's get into just wrap up week 3. Wasn't the best week for us. We got 9-7 from you guys, 10-6. I think the Jets New England game was one of the swing games where I picked New England.
Yeah.
But overall,
why did they do that?
well, I mean, there's a couple things happening in the NFL right now. So there's a couple games I want to talk about before talking about like the star-studded games. Let's first go with Indianapolis, Baltimore. Baltimore loses to Indianapolis.
Gardner Minshew, man.
Uncle Rico?
Uncle Rico. That's Uncle Rico. That's a shocker. That is shocking.
Well, Stouffer missing game-winning field goals too.
Right. But so for me, like that was a big one, right? Like I would never have picked the Colts in that game.
Well, and you don't need to put it on that, but did you see the horrible missed call in that game though?
No.
Oh, yeah. It was like tackling a receiver type thing on like so and hard, yeah, but they were talking about but it shouldn't have mattered. They should have destroyed the Colts with the
Right,
back
right.
quarterback in. That was embarrassing.
So it was like the Saints Rams playoff game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They tackled the receiver and there was no pass interference.
Mm-hmm.
But still, right, you that shouldn't matter, right? Baltimore should not go in and Indianapolis should not be in the game with Baltimore. Because you're talking about a team that, is a division contender.
Yeah. I mean, and everyone was, of course, the 6,000 yards of offense that Jackson was
Yeah.
going to have this year. Okay, he had an okay game. They only scored 19 points. Problem. You're
Yeah.
supposed to score more than 19. You're playing the Colts.
Right.
Maybe their defense is all right, but then again, you're playing the Colts. Like 19 points is just not going to cut it. You know,
So,
Lamar Jackson, I mean, not even a touchdown pass. He had 2 touchdowns running, but Zay Flowers is, I mean,
well, they're all their receivers. I mean, Mark Andrews.
yeah,
I mean, I get it. Uh, OBJ was hurt, right, or got hurt,
Yeah, he was hurt. He didn't play.
right? So he didn't play. So you don't have a lot, but you still have Andrews. You still got Bateman, right,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just
and Flowers.
Right.
So I don't know if it's a play calling issue, but it was that's a disappointing game. But the more disappointing is now you got Dallas at Arizona.
I lost my survivor pool because of that one.
Do the Cowboys really just go in to lose to the Cardinals?
And they punched him in the mouth.
Right.
They gave
Early.
you a blueprint. They gave you, it's like, we don't pass on them. Run
Right.
it down their throats.
Running down their throat.
yeah. I mean, Connor. I mean, they kind of. I just, of course, I didn't watch the game until the very end when Dak threw that interception in the end zone, and it's just like, what are you thinking? Like, how can you even throw that pass? And it's just their offense. I mean, you score 16 points, you're kicking field goals because you're not converting. You know, I mean, he had more yards than Arizona, but you're not. Again, same thing as Baltimore. You're not scoring points. I
So
don't care how good your defense is. You start
right.
playing good teams, you are going to have to score more than 16
You have
points, and against
as
almost any one of them in the playoffs.
as John Madden would say, the team that scores the most points wins the game. Uh, the thing about Dallas, because I want to talk about Prescott for a second. Doesn't it seems like there's a lot of excuses made for him on their side, but there's also a lot of scrutiny against him year after year after year, right?
Yeah.
So isn't there a time where you start to say maybe Dak Prescott isn't the guy?
Oh, I think we blew past that point at this point. To me, he's not the guy. If you watch the press conference, the first thing he said is basically, "Well, I guess we gave the media what they want." Like, what? You sucked? And yes, of course he did. But then he also started rambling on. And you know what? He sounded disoriented. And I've seen him talk a couple times. I'm like, are you okay? You just don't seem right. And I think it's just the pressure has mounted so much with him that he doesn't know what to say at sometimes because he's so hurt by the media probably. I mean, he's
Right.
got to hear all the noise all the time, and it has to be getting to him.
Well, you're
So
in one
I
of the
don't
biggest
think he is.
spotlights, dude.
Huh?
He's in one of the biggest spotlights, right?
Oh yeah,
I mean, the
that's
Cowboys
a star,
are
man.
one of the number one, fan teams out there.
He's
And
got the star on his helmet, and it's too big for him.
right,
I'm not saying he can't go to another team and potentially play better and get a Super Bowl ring if he plays better, but it's just a pressure. It's like he's already doomed to fail.
right.
And I don't know what that means right this season because the NFC is in such flux as far as, they're still a top tier team.
Dude,
But
look at the teams that are up in the NFC, dude. You got the Commanders up there, you got the Cardinals up there, you got
well,
the
the
Tampa
Commanders
Bay,
got beat down by the Bills. I
but
mean,
still,
Sam
they're
Howell
still.
threw 4 interceptions.
When you
Like,
look at the NFC overall, though,
yeah,
and he's
it's
talking like a team like Tampa Bay at 2-1, still in the top 8.
no. Look at the Packers.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't even. I mean, you can't even discount the Packers. I mean, the Packers come back from 17 points down in New Orleans and win the game. I mean,
that had to be one of the worst losses that I've seen in a long time.
yeah.
Because I started watching that game. It must have been midway through the third quarter. And I was like, wow. I was like, Packers, you're just getting hammered. And then all of a sudden, Green Bay wins the game.
Yeah.
So that was rough. But ultimately, so we have to talk about Miami, Denver. This is this might be the worst beatdown that I've ever seen in my history of watching outside of like that the Redskins Denver Super Bowl,
Another Broncos game.
right? Another
There's a lot of
Broncos Super
Broncos
Bowl.
Super Bowls
The
to talk
Bronco,
about.
the Miami game. It was a scoring fest. It was one of the worst displays of defense you've ever seen. I mean, you can't even call it good offense because even when Mike White came in, he throws 2 passes for touchdowns and scores more fantasy points than like 5 other starting quarterbacks with 2 passes.
Crazy.
So, I mean, is Miami that good or is Denver that bad? That's the question.
Well, I think it's like what you said about the Colorado Oregon game. Once it starts snowballing,
Yeah.
then it's like, and all the hype always has been Denver is very talented. They just don't have a coach. Maybe they just aren't that talented.
Oh,
I mean,
no. Yeah. I mean, when you get 70 put up on you, and I mean, this is injuries aren't really that big right now for any team. When you're talking about losing multiple players, these are their starters. They got put. I mean, honestly, the game was like a track meet. It wasn't even a football game. I mean, you got Dolphins players basically competing for all time speeding records for a football player. I mean, they hold 6 of the top spots,
Right.
and
Well, when A Chain runs for 200 yards.
well, that's the thing is, it wasn't like they threw for 600 yards or
Right.
whatever. They ran for over almost 400 yards.
Right. Because yeah, A Chain and Mosier did. Well, and because Waddle got hurt. Waddle went out of the
the
game.
Wall's not even in the game.
Oh, he didn't even play the game, right?
No,
No, he
yeah,
wasn't
he
even
didn't even
Yeah.
playing.
play.
He didn't even play. And so, yeah, the when you give up that many rushing yards and that many points, like I don't know. I would love to say that it's the evil genius out there,
A
Mike
little
McDaniel.
bit.
But
If
at the
you
same time, it just looked like Denver was just bad.
Well, you know what? he wanted to interview for that Denver job, and they said
Yeah,
no thanks.
right. Maybe it's just a
Oh
little
yeah.
peeing in your Kool-Aid.
He was a ball boy for the Broncos at one
Right.
point.
Although, like I said, you gotta give a little respect for not kicking the field goal and own because tell me what better as a coach would be to be the all-time top scoring coach ever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna go
It
down in history, right?
yeah, and it's funny the fans were chanting it at the end of the game.
Right. Oh,
They're
they
chanting
do.
3 more points. You
Right.
remember
Yeah.
remember watching Dolphins games in the
Right.
previous years? Nobody's at the game, right? I mean, tell me how much fun that would be at that game. Like they're in this Tyreek Hill's in the stands with the fan. He scores a touchdown. He goes in the stands, right? It's just a whole lot of offense that honestly I haven't seen in a long time. And it's hard to tell how good Miami is, but I could tell that Denver is really bad.
Yeah. I mean,
And
it was rough. It was rough. So last game before we get into our picks, I mean, we have to talk about Kansas City and Chicago, right? Because here's the
We need to get
problem.
the Swifties on this.
Yeah, where's the Swifties at? Well, here's the thing, because beginning of the year, and we're not the only ones, but we didn't expect Chicago to be playing like this, right? So what's happening here? And obviously Kansas City played well, but I don't even think it was that because watching the game, it wasn't even Kansas City was playing well. It was that Chicago was playing horrible. So how can you not score every time when there's no defense, when the offense is literally not moving the ball?
yeah,
It's just like three and out, and then no defense, three and out, no defense.
there
What's
was a
happening? What's happening in Chicago right now?
there was a point in the fourth quarter where I mean Fields got some yards in garbage time, but he was six for like 16, 42 yards and an
Right,
interception. And this is going in they're in the fourth quarter.
right.
And it's just obscene. Like how can you be that inept? Like what and it honestly comes down to coaching. And I mean, is there dysfunction with the players they have? They have no continuity on offense. DJ Moore has 41 yards receiving. Again, most of those are in garbage time. The touchdown, garbage time. Like,
You have no reason on offense. You have Justin Fields. You got good running backs in Herbert and the rookie and Rashawn Johnson. You've got good receivers and tight end. You got Cole Kmet. You got Mark Mooney. You got DJ Moore. What reason do you have for that type of offense?
Well, I think we remember when Eberflus got hired. We were like, why? Why
Right.
are they hiring a defensive-minded head coach? For Justin Fields needs an offensive-minded head coach. He needed to develop them. So what they did, they hired a defensive guy. First off, their defense sucks. So
It's
obviously that
horrible
didn't work
already.
out. And basically now you're talking like Fields is a bust.
Yeah.
And they're going to look to get someone else. So basically, the hiring of Eberflus and the coordinators has destroyed that team and set them back even further because, Fields was an MVP candidate at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Now
Well,
they're
you look
looking
at
like
what he
we're going
did. You look at what he did on the ground last year, and you look at what you do now to
to,
develop his passing, right? That's what you put him in. You put him in that
right.
Mike Vick, Lamar Jackson category.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
yet now you have him throwing 2 yard passes. Now you have him running play action every other play. Nobody's falling for play action anymore.
Yeah, it's not like they got Derrick Henry in the backfield.
Right, dude. Nobody's
Why
falling
are they
for it
running play action that much? Does the
every time.
defense go, we got to really collapse on running
Right.
back there?
No, they're
It's like,
literally running to Field. Fields does the play action, and he's being tackled when he comes out of his play action fake.
which,
Wait, they're gonna just throw a screen 3 plays in a row.
and
Yeah.
you want to talk about, what the best play action play they have is Justin Fields. Everyone thinking he's going to run the ball.
Right. And then
Honestly,
throw.
at this point, all they do, if they are going to be under center, which I think is idiotic, you just take 2 steps back, and they'd be better off for him running straight to the sideline.
No,
And
the worst thing you can do, and they do it almost every play, is put Fields under center. That's the worst thing you can do.
so stupid.
Put him in a shotgun. Even if you run RPO, you have a better luck than what you're doing right now. But even if you put him in the shotgun and not run RPO, and you've got Claypool, Mooney, and Komet and DJ Moore, why not just spread the field?
That's exactly what they should do. And you know what? At some point, it might happen because how can you, as a coach that has his wits about him, I'll just be nice and say that. How can you watch that game film
Dude,
and say that you're giving your team the best chance or your supposed franchise quarterback the best opportunities to be successful? It's absolutely clear that it is a play calling issue. And it's scheme, it's design, it's everything. The whole design is screwed up.
And we've been talking about this though
everything
for 15 games though. We've been talking about this for 15 games, including last year, right?
Can you imagine if they had DJ
changed.
Moore last year? Can you imagine what they would have done last year, doing what they were doing? They could have been a little scary if doing what they're doing last year on offense.
Which is what everybody thought, or at least I thought, that they would be doing this year, right?
Yeah.
I know it was a few weeks ago, but did you see the conversation Devin White was having with DJ Moore?
Oh yeah. That was
he's
hilarious.
Like, they're not using you at all correctly. And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, that went viral. Oh, it was funny. Like they caught on mic having the conversation. And yeah. DJ Moore is like, yeah, sorry, yeah, they're not even throwing me the ball. So, all right, let's get out of that. So that was wrap up. I had to get that one. Let's get into HSC Podcast picks for week 4. Here we go. Get this all ready. All right, well, starting off on Thursday Night Football. We got Detroit at Green Bay. I'll lead us off this week. It's at Green Bay, so this is a tougher game than I think normally it'd be for the pick because I think I'd pick Detroit here. Although Green Bay's not playing terrible, and I hate to say it, but Jordan Love doesn't look bad. But I'm going to take the Lions here either way. I think the Lions are coming together better. And another thing I hate to say is that Goff is looking better each week. So I'm going to take Detroit by 7.
The spread is only 1.5 for the Lions on the road. But I'm not sold on the Packers. They lucked out last week getting Carr hurt. Because once Carr got hurt, then the Saints absolutely couldn't do anything. So because that game was pretty much, it was like every game we were on that was on TV, it was like, oh, great. These games suck. And then it's like, oh, Carr got hurt. And then it's like, all of a sudden, oh, Green Bay's like, I'm going to come back now. But I think the Lions are too talented. And I got them winning by 7 also.
Yeah, I got the Lions too. I just think you saw something in the Atlanta game where they just kind of shut down Atlanta. And it was kind of impressive the way their defense can play when they play at their potential. And if their offense, you know, if their defense plays like that against Green Bay, I think Detroit should handle them fairly easy. So I'm taking Detroit.
That seems kind of solid. Atlanta at Jacksonville. Derek, what do you got?
Jags laid an egg last week. Played pretty bad. But you know what? That's what we expect from the Jags. One week they're going to be good. One week they're going to be bad. Well, they had their bad week, so I'm going to go that they're going to have their good week this week. They're at home. I still don't trust the Falcons because they have a good running game. They have great skill players, but I don't trust Ritter. So I got the Jags winning by 3. The spread is 3.
What do you think, Wes?
I got the Jaguars too. I mean, looks like they're playing at home in London, basically.
Oh, it's London. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
home game.
And so, yeah, and it's a Toy Story game too. So
Just might as well. Why not? Woody.
yeah, I mean, let's go. So yeah, I get to take the Jaguars. The spread's 3. I think it's gonna be close because I think there's something wrong with Jaguars offense, and I think it comes down to play calling. Um, I think Falcons are good enough to keep it close. I would say Jags win by 3.
Yeah, Jacksonville in London is good. They've historically played well there. So, although I think this is a close game. I think it's a very close game. I think it's
This,
a must win for Jacksonville, though. I think they got to win this game, so I'm going to take Jacksonville also by 3.
so I hate to go off. Yeah, they play back-to-back games in London.
They're just going
Stay
to
there.
hang out.
Just stay
Yeah,
there.
They're just going to hang out in London. It's not a
2
bad
different
look.
stadiums, but yes,
Why not, dude?
They're going to get the Jags to move to London.
That's what they're trying to do. They're going to get the players to warm up to the idea.
They might do that, dude. They might do that. All right, Wes. Miami at Buffalo. Wow. Wow.
Man, this is a tough pick. Um, I think that I think Miami wins this game just because they're just really clicking on offense, and they got a stat where Miami does more motion than any other team in the NFL, and teams are I can't figure it out. And I think McDaniel's he's tweaking things the way he's moving players in different positions, and I think he's going to be able to confuse teams for a few more weeks before they start picking up on it. I don't think the Bills pick up on it this week. I think it's gonna be close, but I think I'm gonna take the Dolphins by 5.
It's probably, I don't know, probably the hardest game of the week, to be honest with you. Went back and forth this a little bit because how do you not pick Miami here? The way they look right now, but at home, Buffalo, they looked pretty good last week. Man, I'm gonna go with Buffalo. I'm gonna take the Bills. Same thing by 3. I'm gonna say Buffalo at home gets it done. I'm gonna give you a swing game there, Wes.
I gotta take my team. I gotta take the Dolphins.
I got the Dolphins also in this game. I just don't trust Buffalo's defense.
Yeah.
But they did wreck Sam Howell last week.
Yeah.
Sam Howell like 4 receptions, but it's Sam Howell.
Sam Howell.
Yeah,
Right.
Sam Howell.
Waddle should be back, so they're going to be full strength. They're in Buffalo. in September. So it's not like Miami lucked out. They didn't have to go play the Bills late in the season, in Buffalo. So yeah, I got it big close though, because you can't rule out Josh Allen. So, but yeah, I'm taking the Dolphins by 3.
Oh, that's a big swing game there.
It is.
All right. Denver and Chicago. God.
I'll I'll go first on this because I just want to tell the audience that Steve doesn't know what he's talking about. That's the hardest. That Dolphins is the hardest game to pick. This is the hardest game to pick right here. Because how do you even pick this game? Is there an AI app that I could just can it pick it
Oh
for
my
me?
God.
Ridiculous. I mean, I'm gonna.
Well,
You know what? No, I'm going with the Bears. I gotta go with the Bears. I mean, the Broncos just lost by 50,
so the
and
Bears.
the Bears lost by 31. So I'm taking
38.
the Bears to win by 19.
Oh yeah, 31. Yeah. Bears by 19. Oh man. It's it doesn't get much worse at this point at 0-3 and 0-3. And you're just getting destroyed by teams. But I'm just taking the home team. Just taking the home. I'm just going to take the Bears as the home team,
But think about it.
but
It
by a
actually is.
touchdown.
Maybe it's not that hard because it is Justin Fields against Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
And if Russell Wilson, yeah.
but dude, who's calling the plays?
Oh yeah. Okay.
So
I
they might be
know.
just throwing the ball to the sidelines every time. Like I just, it's tough even watching a Bears game right now. But I'm still going to pick them to win because they're at home.
Well, we got a swing game on our hands here.
Oh no.
Um, because what you just talked about, Russell Wilson, I know they got demolished. He put up 300 yards. We're not going to see Justin Fields do that.
Well,
And
but if they scored 70 points, that means he had the ball 40,000 times.
yeah, I just think there. I mean, the Bears can't really do anything on offense, so and they're not the Dolphins.
Yeah.
And I mean, and there's so much dysfunction right now going on. I mean, Justin Fields calling out the OC, the defensive coordinator getting like leaving, but now having an investigation against him. There's just so much turmoil in them. I don't think their heads aren't in there right. And Sean Payton's gonna make sure the Broncos play a lot better game because that was embarrassing.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I got the Broncos. They're favored by 3. I got them by 3.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
a
want them
tough
getting
one.
the number 1 pick.
Baltimore at Cleveland. I'll lead off. I can't believe that Baltimore would continue their downslide. Cleveland did look good, but they're playing Tennessee. I think Baltimore has to win this game. You can't let Cleveland go to 3-1. So I'm going to take the Ravens by 3. It's a close game. Good to in Cleveland.
Yeah, I agree with you, Steve. I just think they did the old trap game, caught them, and now they're going to be ready to play the Browns. I don't trust Deshaun Watson still, even though we had a good game against Tennessee. It's Tennessee. So yeah, I got the Ravens by 3.
Yeah, I got the Ravens too. It's just I think eventually Flowers is gonna have a breakout game. This might be it. Even though Browns play really good defense times, I mean they get after. Um, I just think they do enough to win. I got them by 5.
Yeah, it should be nice weather. I think that favors Baltimore. Let's see, Derek, what do you got? Cincinnati at Tennessee.
Got to ride the Bengals, right? They lost their first two, so now they're going to start pulling off some wins, right? You think? They still looked pretty bad.
Yeah.
Um, Thank you, though, Rams offensive line, for having me lose my dynasty football league because you let Sam Hubbard get that last sack at the very end of the game and I lost by 3. Thanks a lot. But anyway, uh, yeah, I still think even though Burrow doesn't look right, you still have to give it to the Bengals over the Titans.
Yeah, Wes.
Yeah, when all else fails, just throw it to Jamar Chase 20 times. And that's basically what they did against the Rams, and it was barely enough. So yeah, I got the Bengals here just because also, I mean, the Titans only scored 3 points against the
The
Browns.
Browns.
I mean, yeah, it's just Tennessee just looks abysmal on offense. So the Bengals should take care of it. I got them by 10.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Tennessee's in the midst of a quarterback change. So I think they're going to have this kind of like struggling point for a few games. I think that's good for them if they hand the ball to Derrick Henry, but unfortunately, I don't think they will because apparently he's not the best running back in the league.
Nah.
So don't give him the ball. So I'm going to take the Bengals by 6. Let's see this tough game here. Wes, what do you got? Rams at Indianapolis.
I'm gonna take the Rams here. Just because defense, I think Aaron Donald is going to come after Minshew. There's, I think they might be looking a little bit too much about how they played last week. I think the Rams defense is going to play like they did against the Bengals. The only difference is this isn't Burrow, this is Minshew, and I think it's going to be close. I think Stafford will have a decent game. I got the Rams by 6.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I think you might as well just flip a coin because either team can win this game. I think Stafford experience does a little bit more to win the game. So I'm gonna take the Rams by 1.
Swing game because it's not Minshew, it's Richardson's back. And he's a whole different dynamic that the Rams haven't been accustomed to. I got the Colts at home. Their defense has been playing well. The Rams, I mean, I think Puka Nakua has been figured out now. So, and the Rams' offensive line is
Yeah,
horrendous.
it's bad.
So, yeah, I got the Colts winning by 3.
It's another swing game. I like to see. All right. Let's see. Tampa at New Orleans. Oh man. I'm not a Tampa. I don't understand how Tampa keeps winning games or has won any games. So I'm gonna go with the Saints, just purely on defense. Their defense has to come to play, but they're at home. Saints play well at home historically. So I'm gonna take the Saints by 7.
This is That's hard because, well, the Saints get Kamara back, but you don't know if
Yeah, if
Carr's
Carr's
going to
gonna
play
play.
or not.
Right. Still early in the week for that.
Right. It says he's day to day, but knowing hit Carr all those years, he doesn't miss games if he can play. And even though they looked so bad when he left, like a totally different team, I don't trust the Bucks, so I'm going to take the Saints. But if Carr doesn't play, it's going to be really close.
Yeah, I agree. What do you got, Wes?
But I got the Saints here, even though I mean what I hear is Carr is week to week, but he might play this week. So I don't. I mean, it's kind of weird, but yeah, what Jameis Winston like? He can't play
He
better than
looks
that with
so
those
bad,
weapons
dude.
at your disposal. And what is wrong with this guy? He
Dude,
wasn't
so
that.
bad.
He was good in college, and then what happened? Just he fell off a cliff. Like, but they're playing at home. I think they'll figure it out. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. I still think they'll win.
Yeah, it'll be Taysom Hill by the end of the game.
Yeah, he's gonna have some snacks. Put it that way.
Washington at Philadelphia. Derek, what do you got?
Oh, man, after what we saw the Commanders happen to him last week, can you imagine the Eagles' defensive line?
Yeah.
I got the Eagles by 14 in this one.
Yeah.
What do you think, Wes?
Yeah, it's Eagles. I got the Eagles covering here. They're 8-point spread. I think that's generous. Uh, I got them by 2 touchdowns.
I'm gonna take them by 10 just because the Eagles haven't looked great yet. They've looked good, but not great. So I'm gonna take them by a little less, but I still think they win the game easily. Let's see, Minnesota at Carolina. This is an interesting game. Wes, what do you got?
I got the Vikings here, even though I am dissatisfied with honestly their quarterback play. But you don't even know if Bryce Young's back, and their offensive line is atrocious, and they're not protecting him anyway. So why would you bring him back? Um, I just think Vikings still have enough offense and playmakers. They should win the game.
Yeah, I agree. I think when you come in with the playmakers that Minnesota has versus Carolina, even though I think it's a Minnesota could lose to anybody, but I'm going to take them. I'm taking Minnesota by a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings almost beat the Chargers, although one could say it's because of Brandon Staley. But I mean, Justin Jefferson's leading the league in receiving yards. That's not going to be much different here. I got the Vikings winning by, oh, it's like 6.
uh, Pittsburgh at Houston. Even though it's at Houston and Houston looked pretty good last week, I'm still going to think the Steelers come in and win this game. I think the Steelers defense is just looking really solid right now. And I don't think that's good for CJ Stroud. So I'm gonna take Steelers by 9.
Yeah, Steelers are favorite, a 3-point road favorite. Yeah, I got them winning, covering. Yeah, it's not a good thing when you have a rookie quarterback going up against that defense. So I got them winning by 7.
Yeah, I got the Steelers here, even though you know, um, not a big fan of you see how forgettable he is. I don't even know
Kenny
anymore.
Pickett.
Kenny
No,
Pickett, it's just
nobody likes Kenny Pickett, dude.
I mean, I think Will Anderson might get in his grill a little.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could say that gives them a chance in this game. I think it's gonna be close. It went by 4. It's still going by 4 though.
Yeah, it's in Houston, so it might go that
Yeah.
way. Oh, here you go, Derek. Las
Good.
Vegas at the Chargers.
Oh God. We even have
Uh,
to talk about the Raiders.
as
What do you
long
got?
as Jimmy G is the quarterback and Josh McDaniels the head coach, I can't see myself ever picking them to win because Garoppolo has been horrible, and McDaniels is just the dumbest. Well,
He just looks dumb on
I'd
the
rather have
sideline.
Brandon Staley.
He looks like a stooge on the sidelines. He never talks.
It's
You're a
like
freaking coach and you don't
you
talk. What do you gotta like someone talking for you like all the time?
you are the fifth highest paid offense in the NFL, and you can't even score 21 points.
Right.
You're supposed to be this mad offensive coordinator genius, and you can't even score 21 points. You've got Garoppolo targeting 2 receivers. That's it. I'm done with him. Finite. Final. Get rid of McDaniels. I hate to say it.
Derek said
Chargers
it
by
first.
14.
By
America, Derek has said it first.
14. By
I will say it
14?
second.
I mean, the Raiders defense can't stop anyone,
Yeah.
and their offense can't score.
And Chargers offense is good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
How do you feel about that, Wes?
I concur on both points. But I also have to say this. There was a point in that game when when Tyree used to putt and he would pump the ball and he would look away because he knew he was gonna make the putt. You just walk away. When Jimmy G threw that pass like this, like in that angle, I
Yeah,
walked
it is
away from the
interception.
TV. I walked out. I didn't even watch the interception because I knew that was an interception.
I
Oh, that's
that
good.
was both
That was like the worst throw.
he was just like, screw it. And then he just threw.
I knew it. I just walked away.
Wow.
So I concur with Derek. I'm not picking them anymore. I'm done.
Yeah.
Chargers, big.
I don't think it'd be the Chargers big, but I think the Chargers win. I mean, I only have them by 5 because the Raiders are talented. The
Who's
Char
quarterbacking? That's
the
who matters.
Chargers have a lot. They're banged up a lot, and so I'm only going to take the Chargers by 5. So
Well,
we're still
That's
we're
an
still on the same
upset,
page.
Steve. That's an upset.
here's the thing about how stupid and dumb McDaniels is. Jimmy G's in concussion protocol, and he's still deciding whether he's going to start Brian Hoyer or
Oh,
Aiden O'Connell. He's still deciding. If
Right,
he puts Hoyer out there, he's even more of a complete moron.
right,
you have to figure out what you got with Aiden O'Connell.
right.
Not because next year,
Well,
forget
because
it. You guys are drafting a quarterback. The Raiders are drafting a quarterback next year, but you're still going to need a quarterback to, you know, play some next year. And you certainly don't want it to be Hoyer because it's not going to be Jimmy G.
no, it's going to be Drake May.
Well, yeah, but he might not start game one,
No,
and you still need a
Shador
backup.
Sanders.
No, he's
Yeah,
not going. He's not going.
yeah,
When he gets
you still
when
need a
Dion gets that
backup.
kickback money from
Yeah.
Davis,
No, geez.
The Raiders, I'm telling you, will have Drake May
I
I
think
would
they'd
that's
actually go for Penix.
or Penix. That's not bad either. I'll take either. Wow, man, just a bunch of hate on the Raiders from the Raiders fans. Oh, it's tough. All right, New England at Dallas, West.
oh My favorite. Yeah. My favorite
Hey,
quarterback playing,
well,
going head to
before
head.
before you guys pick, just to make you feel better, you could be Bears fans. Just saying.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Proceed.
Yeah. It's like I got to hold my nose with his pick because I am going to pick the Cowboys. But I think Bill Belichick is going to game plan for Dak and confuse him enough. So it's going to be, again, not going to be a high scoring game because Mac Jones, he had one good pass against the Jets last week because there was a blown coverage, complete blown coverage, and he had one good throw.
Yeah.
He would have had the same stats as Zach Wilson last week. That's how
Right.
inept Mac Jones is.
It's
So
horrible.
that's why Dak or Pollard will have a big game, and I think that's the difference. They win by 8.
I think Mac Jones dies this game. The Cowboys literally kill him, and then they win by 14 because they're gonna come after him, dude. They're
Oh
gonna come.
yeah,
They're gonna come after
Michael
Mac Jones.
Parsons is
Yeah,
gonna tattoo him. He doesn't have to. I guarantee you that dude doesn't
yeah,
have a tattoo. He will have a tattoo of his helmet on his chest.
yeah. I
It's
think they go after
done.
Mac Jones because they know he can't handle pressure, and the Cowboys out pressure him. They're gonna do the same thing that Daniel Jones, and they're gonna win by at least 2 touchdowns.
You know, I was gonna pick the Cowboys, but not to cover. But now I'm changing my mind. I'm taking the Patriots.
Oh, going for the
Oh,
swing game.
Here's why. On the roster of the Patriots is Ezekiel Elliott and Will Greer.
oh,
Who
the
do you think
revenge game.
is picking their brains about how that offense runs?
Yeah.
And Bill O'Brien is a very good OC. And you know what he probably saw last week? Huh, let's run the ball. We have Stevenson and Ezekiel Elliott,
Right.
and they're going to play the running game. Just remember the one game, the game was it last year or the year before, the snow game, where Jones threw like 3 passes and that was it? Micah Parsons ain't going to do much when they're not throwing the ball. And I think game plan wise, Belichick's a genius, and I think McCarthy is not. So it's going to be a low scoring game, ball control game. And I got the Patriots with the upset.
And then that happens, and Cowboy fans are going to panic. They'll be in panic
Oh,
mode.
you should start panicking
Yeah.
if you lose the Patriots. It's like the kid from St. Helens, right? The same as the Ezekiel Elliott giving them all our plays. Like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Forgot about that.
I forgot. Oh no, Steve. I have to bring stuff up. I forgot that stuff. It was
well,
in
when
VK mode.
he was talking about the like the Ezekiel Elliott and Will Greer giving the plays, I was like, hey,
Yeah.
we did that before.
Allegedly.
So funny. All right, let's get into Arizona at San Francisco. Uh, at San Francisco, I'm sorry, Arizona, you don't have a chance. You're not going to run the ball down their throats like you did with the Cowboys because you got the best front seven in the league and a pretty good offense. So I got the 49ers by 2 touchdowns.
I got the 49ers here too, but the Cardinals aren't good, but they don't go away. So the spread is 14, but I think the 49ers only win by 10. I think they keep it close.
He's taking the Cardinals to the under.
Yeah, but the 49ers to win.
Right.
Yeah, it is a 14-point spread, which is, I mean, Arizona played good last week, but I think they cover here. I think their Niners will take it up another level on offense. You'll see some more big plays. I think they win by 17.
Yeah, I think Kittle has a big game. Let's see, Derek. Kansas City at the Jets.
Sunday night.
Monday
Dude,
Night Football.
the Jets are imploding.
Zach
Like
Wilson
they're,
on Sunday night.
It's like a
they're like the
Zach
defensive
Wilson
players
win.
are revolting now because they're mad that Saleh keeps saying Zach Wilson's our quarterback.
Oh
It's
God.
just horrible. The Chiefs are going to I mean, the Jets defense isn't even going to show up. The spread is only 9.5, but they're going to win by at least 14.
That's brutal.
Zach Wilson is the worst quarterback in the NFL right now.
Oh
Who do you
no,
got,
man.
Wes?
When you lose Joe Willie Namath, man. When Joe Namath tells you, man, trade this dude, get rid of him. You've lost the city of New York. I swear this is probably the last time we see Zach Wilson play for the Jets because Kansas City's defense is playing lights out. They are just going to wreck Zach Wilson's night and the Jets' whole season because they lose this game. Yeah, I mean, they better just go look for a new quarterback. I think the Chiefs win big, 20.
Well, they did. They got Trevor Simeon.
Oh, this. Oh,
I mean, yeah, that's not good.
maybe they could trade for Justin
So,
Fields.
dude, don't talk about that because it's already been thrown out there. It's out in this trade world, dude. So I don't want to
You
hear
know what
about
the
that.
funny part about that trade was? And it was
It's
Justin Fields for Zach Wilson.
That's what I
no,
was about to say. He's
there was
on the Bears.
some draft picks involved, but not good
It
ones.
better be. They're being like
No, but it
every
wasn't. It was like a
first
third and a
round pick.
fourth. But you got
Yeah,
Zach
no,
Wilson.
it was a second and a fifth.
Oh, oh God, give me more than
Oh no,
that.
dude. Zach Wilson took a sack to nobody this week.
I saw that.
He actually fell
He's
on the
seen
ground
most.
by himself.
You know what Joe Namath said? He was disgusted by it. He was disgusted. You
Uh,
disgusted Joe Namath, the dude that
there's
makes out with chicks on TV, like reporters and stuff. And he's
there's
disgusted by that.
there's no way Zach Wilson ever wins a game for the rest of his life. So I'm taking the Chiefs. Um,
We concur.
their defense is good if they to choose to play, but I don't think they're choosing to play because
They're on
what's
strike.
happening. Yeah, they're
They're on
literally on
strike.
strike.
They're like,
They're
screw this.
they're literally on strike. And if the Jets want to have any chance this year, they gotta do a quarterback right now because Zach Wilson's not the guy. He's not. So I got the
And
Chiefs by I'm gonna take by 10.
Zach Wilson's so bad. Colin Kaepernick like wrote a letter saying, "Just put me on the practice squad." I would do it. I'd rather have Colin Kaepernick than Zach Wilson,
He
and he
has
hasn't thrown a pass in like 10
Uh,
years.
that's a
three
tough one.
years, three years in the couple games, 2 years, 2.5, 2.25. He has had the worst quarterback efficiency every year.
Right.
He's the worst quarterback in
But
the NFL every year.
here's what's crazy though, right? You got rid of Mike White. You could for not a lot of money.
Yeah.
You could have easily kept Mike White.
Well, they didn't want to keep three quarterbacks, though.
Right. Well, you could have got rid of Zach Wilson.
You just trade him.
They don't want to.
Just trade him to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough. All right, well, let's wrap it up here with the Giants and Seattle at the New York with the Giants. Wes, you're leading us off.
you know, I it's this game kind of scratching my head about this game. I just think Seattle, after the way they're running the ball, I'm impressed. I think they can beat you a lot of different ways as long as Geno Smith doesn't implode. And the Giants defense doesn't look that great right now. I'm going to take the Seattle by 4. Too close.
Yeah, so I think this for me was the hardest pick of the week. If you look at the games top to bottom, uh, the reason being because I think the Giants, this is their chance to get back into the season. They had a rough start. They're playing an average to good Seattle team. Oh man, I'm gonna go Giants. Just gonna do it. Hopefully, Saquon plays.
Well, I got a little stat for you here. And it puts Kirk Cousins to shame. Daniel Jones, primetime record is 1-10.
Oh,
It's the
Whoa.
worst record for primetime games since the 1970s.
it's rough.
Um, so I'm taking Seattle here. A reunion. They won the Super Bowl there in New York. Going back there, their defense is coming together. Jamal Adams is going to be back. So I got the Seahawks winning by 3.
Yeah, Seahawks could win by more too. I mean, the Giants are just so hit and miss this year. But we'll see. It's a good swing game. All right. Well, week 4 in the books for picks. Uh, as we wrap up, we got to talk a little fantasy football. And I know, Derek, you don't want to because the Spine Busters are 0-3.
I've had like the hardest schedule of anyone. Good old Team John here went off with
Team John.
well, he had I can't get on it now.
I
Uh,
should bring him. Hey,
Team John at 3 and
come
0.
on.
3 and 0. What?
Buffalo Bills defense got him 31.
Oh, because of Sam Howell. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Uh, West Team Invaders 2-1, but you're
Oh,
number 3 in your division
I got
because
busted up
you
last
got
week.
you got Big Mike and Team John at 3 and 0.
There's this.
I moved to 2-1 thanks to Miami players, but Big Mike still scored 173
Mm,
points
yeah, I got
against you,
rolled.
Wes.
I was like the Broncos this week. He was like the Dolphins, those the Broncos. But you know what? The,
Dude,
the Dolphins almost beat him by more. I guess what was that
he
70?
had he
Like
had
70 points.
45 out of Keenan Allen
Oh jeez. Yeah, yeah.
and 24 out of Matt Gay, the kicker. That's rough. He scored 173. He scored 104. So looking at some of the players from fantasy right now, are there any players people should be picking up? I mean, obviously, probably a lot of people don't have A Chain,
No, yeah.
but will A Chain continue to have those weeks?
You don't
Probably
know.
not, but he's still good to have.
What about Palmer now that Mike Williams is hurt?
Yeah. And then Tank Dell.
Yeah, I was thinking Dell. Bell.
Van Jefferson seems to be having good games.
What? That's not interesting. That sucks. I had him on my bench. And what did he have?
Jerick McKinnon's always an interesting. He's never a starter, but he always comes in and gets like random multiple touchdown games.
The Packers receivers, Jaden Reed and Romeo Dobbs and tight end Luke Musgrave, because they targeted Musgrave a lot.
Right. Yeah, Dobbs. I think Dobbs looked really good last week. So I bet he gets a lot more looks.
Although Christian Watson should be back.
Right. Yeah, that'll be an interesting dynamic. Fryermuth,
Hmm.
probably not available in a lot of leagues, but I think he's going to start having a better year.
I dropped him because he gets like one or two targets a game, and then it's
Yeah.
like he's good because he can get a touchdown here or there, but he might end up with 7 yards and that's it. So he's really like, luckily for me, because I one of my only bright spots was Laporta,
Yeah, Laporte had a huge game.
and he
So,
had 9 the first week, 11, and then 22.
yeah, so in our league, I've scored 416 points. Still 2-1.
Mm-hmm.
The next closest person scored 399.
Yep, and he's 1-2.
Well, Big Mike's 3-0, only scored 387.
Yeah,
And I've had 393 scored against me, which is
right.
like third highest, dude.
Wes has had the most scored against him.
Yeah, 414. And then my sister's getting killed 409 a game against her. That's tough.
Yeah, that's a tough.
It's rough. So standings right now in HSC Podcast Fantasy Football, we got Big Mike, we got Team John, and then Team Invaders, the Bears, that's me, and then the Tigers, Jill at 2-1.
Yeah. Jill's MIA. I'm still trying to find her. She's on auto.
Derek with a rough start at 0-3 though.
Yeah, I had a
Gotta
tough.
get back going.
I've had a tough schedule so far. We'll see how it goes next week. Get
Well,
some
let's
of my
see.
injured players back.
Let's see who we got next week. So, I got Jill, so hopefully she stays in my A. Wes, you got Josh. That's a tough game, dude.
Ooh.
He's putting up a lot of points. Oh, and then Big Mike and Team John play.
Ooh, that's good. I need that. I need them to
So
start.
you get the two undefeated teams and I get a loser there. So yeah, and Derek, you play Raul, so
Mhm.
hit or miss there. You never know if he'll change his team.
Hopefully not.
All right, well, good stuff. HSC Podcast Fantasy Football. We'll keep you up to date. Show you that ring. Who's going to win? Can't wait for college football next week. I think we got some good college football games coming up on Saturday. Fun week in the NFL. Guys, have any comments? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave comments there. What you guys want to hear us talk about? Thanks for listening. If you're watching on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Anchor. And we'll see you guys next time.